This is an introduction to problem solving on the Mark Scott Leadership for Life Award. Problem is generally not just one thing, it's lots of small problems. And we know, if we've looked at eating elephants, that if we break a big problem down into its smaller component parts and smaller problems, they're a lot easier to get our head around and to approach and to tackle, and even just to get started, because they're much less scary. So the first thing to do with the problem is to break it down into its component parts so we can attack or address just the smallest parts, and that's how we make a start. Finding solutions to these problems, there's a process that we use, and we're going to start off with opening up. And opening up is a process for creating potential solutions, imaginative solutions for our problem. But why the picture of bears? Well, it's story time. The bear story, which is loosely based on a true story. One day, a major North American power company called a meeting to sort out a significant problem that they had. In the winter, a lot of people were going without power as snow was building up on power lines and bringing them down. And this was wasting a lot of time and money to fix, as this often happened in very remote places. And they needed a solution. So they brought together a group of people from all over the organisation to try to find a solution to the problem. It all started out quite friendly at first, but after several fruitless hours, people were getting fed up. And at this point, from a previously unheard from corner of the room, a voice was heard, a voice with a single word. Bears! Bears? Everyone looked round at the odd guy no one had even spoken to before. Now they all laughed the idea off and carried on getting technical. Eventually, however, someone said, remembering what he'd said, so how could bears help? And they laughed some more. Someone else laughing later on said, well, bears climb trees, and everyone laughed together again. The meeting went on, and everyone was getting a bit frustrated. And later still, just for comedy, someone said, so maybe we could train bears to climb the poles and shake the snow off the lines. And there was much more laughter. Much later still, and people have been shut in this office all day now, someone again remembered the funny comment and said in jest, I know, if we dropped honey on the tops of the poles, maybe the bears would climb up the poles and shake the lines while they were getting the honey, because bears love honey. Oh, and how they laughed. But how would we get the honey up there? And amid all this hilarity and frustration, somebody shouted, I know, this is what we can do. We can fly a honey delivery helicopter to drop it on the tops of all the poles. And that's how they came up with the solution to the problem. They fly a helicopter along the power lines to blow the snow off the lines. It doesn't freeze on the lines then, it doesn't make them heavy, and it doesn't bring them down. That's a solution they found, and that's a solution they still use to stop the power lines coming down in remote areas. So from this story, we can take some top tips for finding imaginative solutions. Number one, never prejudge your ideas. The people in the story prejudged, put the things off, but fortunately they had listened. Never dismiss anyone else's ideas. Never dismiss your own. Never dismiss other people's ideas. That's where the imaginative stuff comes from. And the original path to finding this is through some really wacky and silly ideas. So always try to build on previous suggestions. No matter how silly they may seem, don't discount them, try and build on them. We tend to think of these as generational ideas, of first generation, second generation, third generation. And if you think about the story, the bear story, that was around about a fifth generation idea. Building and building and building until we got something that wasn't silly anymore, it was deadly sensible. So, to finding solutions, let's work through this. Opening up. We use these 3 rules. We throw out to create as many possible solutions to our one part of the problem. So we've got a big problem, we've broken it down, we're now opening up to find lots of potential solutions. Next part of the process, we need to close it down. We can't solve the problem with loads of different solutions, we need the one. So we need an equitable system, and we suggest disposable voting, which we'll outline in a second, to take all those ideas and bring them together to eventually work our way down to one single solution that we're going to use. So that's closing down, the closing down process. So we've opened it up to many solutions, close it down to one solution that we're going to put action. So I talked about disposable voting. So a good way of doing this is to take all the potentials and use disposable voting, giving each team member 10 votes. Everybody votes independently, so it's not no reaction to what other people vote for. They just vote for what they want to vote for. You can't place all 10 votes in the same place. In fact, with a maximum of 8 votes in any one place and 2 votes in or minimum of 2 votes in any one place, gives people a spread, and you can spread it around as many as you want to. So if you find several solutions acceptable, you can use your votes proportionally around how much you enjoy or how much you like the solutions. You tally the votes then once everybody's voted, and then the highest vote will be the one that most people find agreeable. It might not be their number 1 option, it might not be their number 2 option, but it will be an option that most people have given some votes to, so it's acceptable for most or all people, hopefully. And that then gives you a solution to the problem that not only is a solution, hopefully it's a pretty good solution, but it's also a solution that everybody else can buy into. And for creating a community project, something that everyone's going to have to buy into and get involved in, it's a great way of finding that solution to the problem. What project should we do? Good luck, everybody.